Checking in for another dev blog, show you guys what I've been up to. In some of the last videos, I had just set up this path for the player to follow, and where it would come, it might branch off into different options about which way to go. I had noticed that there's kind of a issue in the curve. I'll show you that now. Okay, so that's kind of the issue right there. You can see how it's lurching, like, I'm not doing this. It just seems to stop, come to a crawl, and that's that. My first instinct is that is probably the curve, because Bezier curves are not normalized by default, like a Bezier curve normalization. I don't know, let's find an image, because I don't have a better one. I mean, essentially, you build a Bezier curve by stepping along it. Okay, this is a pretty good representation. Where, I'm sure this is made up of Bezier curves. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. And basically, you take different samples along percentages of your control points. But each, even if you do a percent of that, or even if you step at a constant length along your control points, you're not necessarily going to end up with a curve that is perfectly parameterized. Not the best example here, but these are not the same lengths, basically. So that was kind of my first thought. Maybe the normalization, maybe the, I guess I'll call it the normalization of that curve, making it uniform, was not really perfect. And I can see that, even in the debug editor, it looks a little bit jaggy. It looks like there's jags, but and still in my mind, that doesn't really mean it would feel bad. I would feel jerky. It doesn't necessarily mean I would, I don't think I felt like, oh, suddenly I'm going up. Oh, suddenly I'm going back. It was more like I come to a stop right here for a game. So I have a speed, and so the owning component will set a speed for what it should be at right now. Maybe right now it's like 530 centimeters per second. My scale is not normal. These are like toy scale, like the ship is like my hand size. So it's going about 500 centimeters per second times the delta time. That's how much it's going to step along the curve in this frame. It's coming up with the next distance, and by just adding what is my current distance plus what was the delta, I'm figuring out what is the next location. This is kind of how I do it. I take that flight path and I say get the location at the distance. And now what I was doing here was logging this d, which is a delta between the known, like this is indisputably how much I'd like to move in this frame. And how much did I actually move from the last location to the next location? I wanted to see it in terms of a difference because I wanted to validate that what I was seeing was it stopping suddenly. And I want to see that number jump, more, rapidly. It should be close to 0. I shouldn't really see much, but there might be some, and that's okay. I just want to make sure it's not that big. So that was the first point that I started. Now, this get location at distance used to just be asking the spline component for its distance in world space, or its location in world space at this distance along the spline. The spline, the Unreal component spline, has a length, a total length, and you can ask it for all kinds of good information. This is what I was using before. So given that I was just using that, I wanted to see what my, what I was getting. I have some results. So here's some of my logs of me traveling along that curve. This is about when I'm getting near the problem. Here's the problem that I've come back later and identified. This is where it happens, jumping from 0 to -3. But here is actually in the game when I'm saying, I saw a problem, I hit a button. So this is me reacting maybe 0.1 seconds after it happens, saying it happened right now. and I go back a little bit and see, oh, there's a dramatic thing happening here. You can kind of actually see like these values are sneaking up over time, and then they drop. And here's another occurrence of it happening. The second time it happens, sometimes you can see it happening twice. It goes up and up and up, and again drops. That's like a difference of 3 centimeters per frame, though. And frames are like very small, very, very small amounts of time. So this is this is maybe seems not significant, but this is what I attribute the problem to. All right, let's try this one more time. It's the second time I meant to do this. I need this to be a pawn. I want to possess it. So I'm going to add a empty pawn as the ship reference. I'll put it around where that is. Wow, that was pretty close. Like, pretty good. I'll just put it around there. It's relative, really, to the spline, so it doesn't matter. You probably heard me say that a million times. Static mesh there. This ship hand. Ship hand. Ship. Fighter. Fighter. Okay. Fighter. Hand. Boom. There it is. Just need to see something. Add the SplineMovement component. Give it a speed of whatever I had before. 530. Initial offset. We'll do that in a second. Boom. That's the flight path. Initial offset 35123. And again, since it's relative, since I would like to kind of see it around where the curve would be, I'll just say plus 35123. I just happen to know that's around when problems happen to save us all some time. And all right, so I'm going to run that. You can kind of see I'm tracing the segment that I'm nearest to, and it appears that I'm flying right on up there. Can't really see any jumpiness, but would I have anyway? Not really, probably if I wasn't inside the cockpit, so that's why we need this to be a pawn. And I'm going to go to auto possess player 1. I don't even think I need a camera. I'm pretty sure it adds one automatically. So here I am. Okay, in my opinion, that was very smooth. We'll stop it and compare it to what it was before. Okay, so all that being said and done, I had my custom smoothing. It seemed to solve the problem. I now was wondering, maybe there's just some setting that I haven't seen on my spline that helps me out with this. I mean, if it's a spline accuracy problem, it would be nice if they opened up some parameters for that. It turns out they do. So all this, is like 2 days of debugging, I'd say. All this done for not really much reason, but I initially had not seen this. It's called reparm steps per segment. Number of steps per spline segment to place in the reparameterized table. That sounds to me like you're smoothing the table. It's a maximum between 10 and 100, which maybe is not enough for me, but this is steps per segment. So even if I needed more, I could just, not have my entire spline take up, this entire distance. This is like quite a long way for, start and end. So actually start and end. So maybe I need to break this up a little bit more. Didn't realize that was a thing. Didn't expect that to happen. But now that I know about it, that might be something I do. But anyway, I cranked this guy up to 10, and I'm going back over to my thing here, and I've turned off my custom interpolation. So now I just kind of want to see, am I seeing any jumpiness using their smoothing method? No, I do not. So all in all, a lot of time wasted to find some setting that I just couldn't find. But at least I learned a lot. Okay, bye.